And the Catskills in Henderson, Nevada, USA. He is from the IBF Tyson.
All right, gentlemen, I gave you the rules in there. Two legends. Fight hard, fight clean, touch them up.
Matters, and what I do now, moving forward, is what matters.
Quiet. If it's snow,
right to work. Matters, and what I do now, moving forward, is what matters.
Quiet. If it's snow,
right to work.
Instead, the Puerto Rican resident
What's up, fight fans? Welcome back to the channel, where we break down the biggest and most talked about moments in boxing. And today, we have a monumental one for you. The fight that no one could have imagined just a few years ago actually happened: Jake Paul versus the legendary Mike Tyson. The old guard versus the new wave. This isn't just a recap. This is the story of an event that shook the world of boxing to its core. So, grab your popcorn, sit back, and let's dive into every punch, every round, and the shocking outcome of this epic showdown. Before we jump into the fight itself, let's talk about how we even got here. On one side, you have Jake Paul, a YouTuber turned professional boxer who's been making waves in the sport, whether you like it or not. With every fight, Jake has silenced a few more critics, and with each win, he's turned more heads. After victories over former MMA fighters, other influencers, and even a couple of legitimate boxers, Jake began calling out bigger names, aiming to cement his status as a true contender in the sport. But when Jake Paul called out Mike Tyson, the world thought he was crazy. Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet, a former undisputed heavyweight champion, and one of the most feared fighters to ever step into the ring. Was Jake out of his mind? Tyson hadn't fought in a competitive setting since his 2020 exhibition against Roy Jones Jr., but his legend remained untarnished, even at 58. The thought of facing Tyson in the ring is enough to give any fighter pause. The build-up to the fight was nothing short of electric. Jake Paul did what he does best, promoted the fight through his massive social media platforms, delivering knockout soundbites and claiming that he would do the unthinkable, knock out Mike Tyson. Tyson, always a man of fewer words, simply said he was ready to teach Jake a lesson in respect, while acknowledging the young fighter's ambition. The fight was set, and the world waited in eager anticipation. September 22, 2024. The T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas was packed to the rafters, and millions more tuned in from around the globe. The energy in the arena was palpable. On one side, you had the diehard Tyson fans, those who had grown up watching the Iron Mike dominate the heavyweight division. On the other side, you had the new age fight fans, many of whom had never seen Tyson fight live but were drawn to the spectacle by Jake Paul's undeniable charisma and marketing genius. The stage was set for one of the most anticipated boxing matches in recent memory as the lights dimmed and the fighters made their entrances. The atmosphere was electric. Tyson, in his classic black trunks and no robe, looked like a man on a mission, his focus razor sharp. The roar from the crowd as he stepped into the ring was deafening, a mix of respect, nostalgia, and awe. Jake Paul, on the other hand, entered with his usual flair, soaking in the moment and clearly relishing the role of the underdog. Despite the odds, there was a confidence in Jake's eyes that said he truly believed he could pull off the impossible. The opening bell rang, and the fight was on. Right from the start, it was clear that Mike Tyson hadn't lost a step in terms of aggression. He came out like a man possessed, moving his head with that signature bob and weave, looking to close the distance on Jake. For Jake, the game plan was clear: use his reach, stay on the outside, and pick his shots carefully. But executing that plan against a relentless Tyson was easier said than done. Tyson immediately took the center of the ring, cutting off Jake's movement and forcing him into a defensive posture. Within the first minute, Tyson landed a heavy right hook to the body, followed by a vicious left uppercut that snapped Jake's head back. The crowd erupted, sensing that the fight could be over before it even began. But to his credit, Jake absorbed the punishment and kept moving, throwing out jabs to keep Tyson at bay. By the end of the first round, it was clear that Jake was in for the fight of his life. Tyson was in vintage form, aggressive, powerful, and utterly relentless. The question on everyone's mind was whether Jake could survive the onslaught or if he'd be another name on Tyson's long list of victims. As the fight moved into the second and third rounds, Jake began to settle in. He started to find his rhythm, using his jab more effectively and landing a few counterpunches that got Tyson's attention. There was a noticeable shift in the dynamics of the fight. Jake was no longer just surviving, he was starting to compete. Tyson continued to press forward, but Jake's movement and timing began to frustrate the older fighter. In the third round, Jake landed a crisp right hand that stunned Tyson momentarily. It wasn't a knockout punch, but it was enough to make Tyson think twice about charging in recklessly. Jake followed it up with a solid combination that drew a reaction from the crowd. This wasn't going to be a walk in the park for Tyson. After all, rounds 4 and 5 were where the fight truly became a battle of wills. Tyson, despite his age, was still dangerous, and his punches had the same bone-crushing power that had made him a legend. But Jake was showing remarkable resilience. He began to use his footwork more effectively, circling away from Tyson's power hand and landing quick, sharp counters that were scoring points. In the fourth round, Tyson landed a brutal body shot that visibly hurt Jake, forcing him to clinch. It was a reminder that no matter how much success Jake was having, one mistake could cost him the fight. But Jake fought back valiantly, refusing to be overwhelmed. The round ended with both fighters trading punches in the center of the ring, a testament to the grit and determination of both men. By the fifth round, the tension was unbearable. The fight had been closer than many expected, with both fighters having their moments. Jake's youth and stamina were starting to show, while Tyson's experience and power remained ever present. In the closing seconds of the round, Jake landed a surprising uppercut that staggered Tyson. For a brief moment, it looked like Jake might pull off the unthinkable and knock down the legend. But Tyson, ever the warrior, regained his composure and finished the round strong. And then, it was time for the final round. The crowd was on its feet, knowing they were witnessing something extraordinary. Both fighters were visibly exhausted, but neither was willing to back down. Tyson, sensing that he might need a knockout to secure the victory, came out with everything he had. He launched a furious assault, backing Jake into the ropes and unleashing a barrage of punches. Jake covered up, absorbing the punishment. But it was clear that Tyson was giving it his all. Just as the tension reached its peak, an unexpected turn of events took everyone by surprise. With about a minute left in the final round, the referee suddenly stepped in, waving his hands to stop the fight. Confusion swept through the arena as the crowd tried to understand what was happening. The fighters looked bewildered, as did the commentators. It turned out that a serious issue had arisen. A medical emergency involving a spectator in the front row required immediate attention, and out of an abundance of caution, the fight was temporarily halted after a few tense minutes. The officials announced that due to the unforeseen circumstances and the concern for the health and safety of everyone involved, the fight could not continue. The decision was made to postpone the remainder of the final round to a later date. The crowd, initially frustrated, eventually understood the gravity of the situation. Both fighters, showing class and respect, agreed with the decision, acknowledging that some things are more important than the fight. While the postponement left the result of the fight hanging in the balance, it also added another layer of drama to an already historic event. Fans around the world were left in suspense, eagerly awaiting the rescheduled bout where the unfinished business between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson would finally be settled. The aftermath of the postponement was a mix of disappointment and anticipation. Both Jake Paul and Mike Tyson took to social media shortly after the event to address their fans, expressing their mutual respect and their commitment to completing the fight as soon as possible. The entire boxing community, and indeed the world, was left buzzing with questions. Would Tyson be able to harness the same energy when they resumed the fight? Could Jake capitalize on the momentum he had started to build? The delay only served to heighten the anticipation for the next chapter in this already unforgettable saga. When the final round does take place, it promises to be one of the most highly anticipated moments in recent boxing history. The world will be watching, and when the bell rings again, it'll be time to see who truly comes out on top: Jake Paul, the relentless young challenger, or Mike Tyson, the living legend determined to remind everyone of his indomitable spirit. That's a wrap for now. Fight fans, what did you think of the events that unfolded? And who do you think will have the upper hand when the fight resumes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to stay updated on all the latest developments. We'll be here to bring you every update, every analysis, and every punch when Jake Paul and Mike Tyson step back into the ring to finish what they started. Until then, stay safe and keep punching.